Hi there, this is the second episode of my presentation of the carbon credit system, which is the system that rules our world economy. And I'll just repeat a little bit from the first episode. I basically ended up with the two facts that create a paradox that basically should awaken people to the existence of the carbon credit system and its fundamental nature. Fact number one is that carbon is the base of our industrialized world. So everything that we do every day depends on carbon. So if you remove the carbon, if you cut off the source of carbon, everything will stop. Yet we seldomly worry about that. We seldomly think about carbon as how much is there. We're not investigating really. International Energy Agency puts out the most crappy type of report, and there's no right, nothing. Of course, the media will filter and will remove as much information as possible that might alert us. And of course, if you read a news article, you always read that the fuel prices spike. That implies that they will go down again. There's always this implication that if you wait a little bit, things will be all right. That's also fundamental to the carbon credit system, of course, because if you would not feel that it was alright, you would immediately destroy it because you would start asking questions that are really important to your own existence. But the other fact that creates the paradox, of course, is that credit or money is the key to any and all economical activity. It is the measuring stick in our lives. It is our existential beacon. We need it, and that's what we are watching all the time. We're always worried about how much money people have, how much money institutions have, etc., etc. While of course that's a text message. But while that's of course a complete vacuous notion. How much money do you have on your bank account these days? There's nothing you can get for that money except other money. So a dollar gets a dollar, a euro gets a euro, a yen gets a yen. So what the hell does it mean? It means something else than what you think it means. It doesn't mean your existential security. It means your ability to play the game. But anyway, I'll start this part off with fact number 3, that I think is a very good one to realize, and that is that carbon security is as a result of the first two facts. Carbon security is fundamental to our lives. And of course I'm for renewables, so I'd say energy security is fundamental to our lives. But no, we have basically a fight at the moment globally between the carbon credit system and renewables, because renewables are you cannot centralize them easily, you cannot own them easily. The sun is everywhere. The only thing that goes against, let's say, the smartest thing that the carbon credit system has been able to come up with is a psychological meme called free energy, zero energy, which will divert your attention away and direct it towards the future when there will be inventions. Of course, those inventions have all been made already in the 80s, but they were deemed a threat, and they have openly been killed, choked, strangled, shut down by the carbon credit system. So if you want to understand the system, then to the carbon credit system, carbon security is fundamental. It doesn't really matter how you get the carbon or where you get the carbon, and that is before you sell it, before it has a price, because the credit system will start to give a price to the carbon. But the more important thing and the more basic and fundamental thing is that you have the carbon security. So you basically have a deal with somebody in a certain territory where the carbon can be found, that you can take it away like that. And a very interesting thing is very important to understand to carbon security is that you don't need money to get carbon out of the ground. You only need carbon. You need fuels, and I'm constantly saying carbon, I hope it's not annoying, but you need fuels to get oil out of the ground. You need diesel engines. You need diesel engines to get gas out of the ground. You need diesel and kerosene and whatever raw materials, carbon materials, to make the heavy equipment run in the coal mines. You don't need money. You don't need credit. You don't need any paper stuff. That's completely useless. That means that carbon security is fundamental to the carbon credit system, but the carbon industry in itself is autonomous. And that's a very effective way for it to maintain its dominance, because it doesn't depend on anything, and it can basically spend more and more carbon for every kilo or pound or barrel of oil that is brought to market, and it is actually doing so. It doesn't really matter, because it doesn't have to pay for all that carbon. Everybody else has to pay for that carbon, and that's the carbon credit system that we live in with our money. But oil companies do not have to have money. They don't need it. If you pay them for anything, it doesn't matter to them, because they are more interested in what they can get out of society with the money that comes back to them. A certain amount of the credit that rotates, that circulates in society, will come back to them. And the fact that they remain dominant and remain recipient of that credit and remain the facilitator of that production than anything else. They don't really care about money. Anyway, carbon security is fundamental. If you lose carbon security, you will lose your credit system as well. Another thing you can say about it, which clearly demonstrates this, which makes it a little bit paradoxical that people are not waking up to it, but you see wars fought over oil and in oil regions and over gas in Afghanistan. It can have other reasons, of course, because there's lots of drugs trade, but you don't see wars fought on Wall Street. You don't see you don't see the US government occupying JP Morgan or Goldman Sachs. Why? Well, because that's not where the real power lies. That's not where the real driver of the thing is. It doesn't really matter what these banks do. It doesn't matter one thing. It's the biggest distraction in human history. And the more distractive they are to your attention, the more you care about the credit side of this equation, the more you will be a slave of the carbon side. Very clearly. But this, I hope this video is not growing too long already, so I'll get to another slide. Fact number 4, carbon supply and credit liquidity needs to be tuned in order to maintain price stability. So this is really the carbon credit system, how it works, how it operates, why it is a carbon credit system, why the two words are combined. And that is because if you don't manage the credit system, the liquidity in society, such that it is in tune with the carbon supply, you will see effects that will destroy the system. And I talk about credit, liquidity, money, and I'll explain what I mean with that. The money that I'm talking about, and I'm not an economist by education, is not pensions, it's not savings, it's not futures in the futures exchange. It is not anything that is not directly able to buy anything. The money supply, and I mean real stuff, physical stuff. The money supply is any transaction towards production that will actually affect and result in production. Any transaction towards consumption that will actually result in consumption. That is, let's say, the money, the part of the money in circulation that is available in those two fields or in those two situations. That's actually what it's all about, because those two, production and consumption, will influence the amount of carbon that is available, because it will destroy carbon, so it will burn it basically. There's a third one, which is very annoying to the carbon credit system, and that is cash. Carbon credit system hates cash because you don't know where it is. You don't know when it will strike your carbon supply. You don't know when it will endanger your carbon credit illusion. Let's say the illusion of security of the credit system. That's why banks are after credit or after cash. They don't like it. They want to know exactly where it is, and then it's okay, because then they can start managing it. So to come back to it, carbon credit is not money in general, but it is credit that can be used to destroy carbon right now. And it is used usually out of perceived existential necessity. So basically all the carbon, all the money that we spend on actually making machines run and making and basically that we're basically burning, we burn because we think we need to do it. All the rest we call savings, we put it in a bank and we're not burning anything with it. That's not real carbon credit. There's a psychological aspect to this, which is also very important. And that is that the direct action, the direct activity is always more important than whatever is virtual. But many people, as Napoleon said, if you control virtual reality, then you control a people. That's very much the case, because most people are not brave enough to experience reality. Let's say with the intensity and the continuity that is usual in let's say the most aggressive types that we find in the carbon credit system, people. So, but anyway, so carbon credit is about what's actually happening. But to come back, I'm sorry, this is not an optimal video maybe. Fact number 4 says the carbon supply and the credit liquidity needs to be tuned in order to maintain price stability. So you make that the last slide of this part. You probably understand that okay, if everybody has $1 and spends it on let's say 1 gallon of gasoline costs $1, and the gallons of gasoline are coming in the right rate towards society, and the dollars on the other side are earned at the right rate, at a similar rate, then of course the price of that gallon will be stable. But if suddenly the amount of oil, the amount of gasoline will be reduced, then of course more dollars will compete for less carbon, and the price of the carbon will go up. This is not like any other product, because there's a limited amount of carbon. So on the other side, if the liquidity is increased suddenly, then of course the price of a gallon of gasoline will also go up, because the people that sell the gasoline will see that there's more dollars competing for the same amount of gasoline. You will have more consumption and it will teeter out. And this is simple economical theory. There's nothing too special about it. The special thing is that this is the fundamental process that goes on in our industrialized society, and nothing else, basically. Nothing else really matters. And it is basically resulting in behavior that we would find that are completely described in other ways. So we say, well, we have austerity measures. What is that? That is a credit crunch, credit liquidity reduction, in order to hide a carbon supply reduction. We have a financial crisis. We have, let's say, loss of trust in the financial system. That means that the control in the carbon credit system was out of control, because the credit side thought and found ways to create credit which were no longer within the control, within the territory and the authority of those managing the carbon credit system. That's why, and then it's very easy to understand that the Federal Reserve in the US became very important in conjunction with the banks of Wall Street, in order to maintain trust in the system. What are they talking about? They're talking about the trust in this system, in the carbon credit system, in no other system. It's not, basically, they talk about the economy. The economy is the system that consumes the carbon, and that is very finely tuned, using, making sure that you use all the instruments that you have to control credit. On the other side of the equation, of course, you have to fight wars in order to secure the carbon, and that is actually where the action lies. But if you play the game right, everybody will worry about what you do with the money. I have another slide here. Okay, I already showed it, I guess. But so I'll keep it at this, and I'll make another presentation. I hope you enjoy this, and thanks for watching.